high value man, superior man, alpha male, sigma male. You can pick and choose and try to become it. But if we want to put our finger on what makes a high value man, I mean, in my humble opinion, there's just real men in a steep minority and a larger group of something else that isn't really to be judged, right? I think there's just 4 virtues. If you live by them, master them, then you'll get closest to your highest form, to what you would look like as a high value man. The absolute 4 virtues that make real men. Here we go. What's up, man? Good to see you again. As always, very happy to have you here in this community. You got shit to do, right? So let's get into it. I genuinely believe that every man goes through a phase where you try to prove yourself, and that there is somewhat of an importance to that. And if we look at that first virtue, it is becoming a man who self-validates. Every man goes through a period where you are somewhat obsessed with the gym or talking to women or making money. It is always, to begin with the reason to validate ourselves for other people. So we start making money and we tell everybody about it so that we are validated. We learn about social dynamics and talking to women so that we get into a position of choice. And then again, we brag about it, we talk about it, we validate ourselves through sleeping with women. We get into the gym or we start a martial arts and we have that initial spike where we're telling everybody about it because we still need to validate ourselves. It is the shift between needing the validation from others and seeking it to shutting up and doing the work in silence, validating yourself. Making money without telling anyone. Getting stronger without telling anyone. Because you validate yourself. You're doing it for something other than validation. You don't need it anymore. You have nothing to prove anymore. And I say that without rejecting the desire to get good with women and to have this phase where you master this side or where you become somewhat obsessed with money and get good at it. Because it is succeeding at those things that allows you to learn that that's not it. That is just a fleeting moment in time where you are happy with yourself because you feel validated. So your ego gets to relax, right? You're the businessman or the womanizer. But that gets old very quickly, doesn't it? However, you do need to first get to that point to realize it. So I think it is perfectly fine and healthy to have this period where you're somewhat obsessed and where you're seeking for validation outside of yourself. And it is getting there that learns you that that is not it. And that you can validate yourself and that you have nothing to prove. And what gets you to self-validate is a shift from ego to playfulness, right? It is first being the businessman that has made it and telling everybody about it and buying the watch and showing these things. Or you just skip that step, that's also possible. Shifting from that ego to a sort of playfulness where you kind of laugh at these thoughts like, ooh, look at Mr. Serious here. I am the entrepreneur, the businessman, I'm making it. You know, kind of like laughing at yourself, like, I have nothing to prove, I don't need to follow up with these thoughts. I don't see myself that serious anyways. I think that playfulness and self-validation is extremely appealing, attractive, and magnetic, and is really something at the core of masculinity. Then, number 2, we have integrity, masculine integrity. First, you have, of course, 0 values, and you can just go along with your desires. And then you build some values, you apply them only when it kind of benefits you and makes you look cool, right? You talk about honesty on that first and second date as if you're this man of integrity. But then when it actually comes to telling the truth about something that maybe makes you a bit vulnerable or doesn't benefit your self-interest, then you're the first to not tell her. It's communicating your values, not really following up with them always. It's judging women for posting a bikini picture, but you're also followed to that woman. You're kind of in that limbo there where you're starting to see what your values might be, but you're not really able to hold on to them yet. You are aware of the fact that it makes you look good, that you communicate them. You get into the realm of being a real man when you actually start telling the truth and being a person of integrity when you start putting those values over your self-interest. So you actually advise your girlfriend something that might make you a little bit jealous or might make you a bit uncomfortable, but you're doing the right net positive thing. It's the right thing over your self-interest, sharing what is the truth over what makes you seem likable or cool or attractive. As you shift to that standard, you become a real man. Hey, just quick, we're building a community here of future masculine role models. The world needs masculine leaders right now. So if you're the type of man that's gonna fill that spot, subscribe to the channel and join this movement. Let's get back to the video. Number 3 is balance. But let me explain what I mean with balance. That you're able in a controlled way to go very rapidly up and down, but always return to this baseline. That you're always in the middle, that you're always in balance between all polar opposites, that you not have attached only to your masculine side, but that you also have looked at your feminine traits and have owned them. Man cannot be fully masculine without embracing his feminine sides. It doesn't necessarily mean how much feminine traits or whatever you have, but it is embracing them that makes you truly masculine. So it always comes back to balance. And this concept is as broad as it sounds. It is mastering your darker edge as well as your lighter edge, right? The aggression and violence and the kindness and love. It all needs to be explored and mastered for you to choose to be right there in the middle. It is not anymore seeing the value of the extremes, right? Of the 7-year semen retention period, of the 12 times a week going to the gym, to have the ability to choose your sexual partners and then to also do it and go to the extreme and sleep with a different woman every week. It is maybe having done these things, but coming back to that baseline, seeing the power in moderation and balance. And again, there's this argument to that you maybe first need to explore these extremes until you find that it doesn't serve you. And as you've explored left and right, up and down, dark and light, you come back to the middle, to your balance. To become a real man, you must have explored all these different sides and extremes a little bit for you to even choose to come back to balance. Number 4, and lastly, unmissable and very simple, is kindness. Just the big mistake is to choose aggression and to one-up other people for your own benefit. Choosing personal gain and power over collaboration and kindness. It is this phase where you go through where you again need to prove yourself until you realize that real masculinity is absolutely about kindness. And this doesn't mean that you are always kind. It doesn't mean that you don't have the choice to not be kind, because it is an absolute given, as the last point about balance implies that you have visited your violent side, right? And that this is at your disposal, but that everywhere in life you choose to be kind. You don't follow your ego into making decisions. You don't flip the fuck out when someone cuts a line at a supermarket. You don't, again, feel the need to prove yourself anymore. You choose to be kind until someone steps over your boundaries. It is then that you have the choice to not be kind. But until any of that happens, and that's 99% of situations where ego dictates your actions, we simply say no to that shit and we choose kindness. Something that is so roughly overlooked as everybody is trying to become the alpha male with the Bugatti and the Rolex on your wrist. But I think if you're somewhat determined on your masculine journey, you will always end at kindness. To be a good man rather than a great man. So I'm curious what you think. Do you have, in your perception, a different virtue that I missed? Can you call yourself a real man yet? I'm very curious about these things. And for now, that's it. See you in the next one.